Good afternoon, everyone. I am Santosh Venkataraman, and I welcome you all to this press conference that is hosted by the Press Information Bureau, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, at the 56th edition of the International Film Festival of India here at Goa. Before we proceed, I would like to remind everyone in here that this particular conference is also being live streamed across our PIB Panaji's YouTube handle. And it's a humble request from me that everyone in here, please either switch off your phones or you can put your electronic devices on the silent mode. Okay. So we have with us in here the panelists from two movies. First is My Father's Shadow, whose director, Mr. Akinola Davis Jr., is here with us. And I will read a short synopsis of that movie. It is a semi autobiographical tale which is set over the course of a single day in Nigerian capital, Lagos. And the timeline for this movie is the 1993 Nigerian elections. The story follows a father who is estranged from his two young sons, and the trio travels through the massive city while political unrest threatens their journey home. I would also like to inform that both the movies are in the competition section, and they are competing for the Golden Peacock. And My Father's Shadow also happens to be the official entry to the Oscars from the United Kingdom. The movie has already made history by getting recognized as the first Nigerian film which has been selected for Cannes official selection. Can we have a preview of that movie, please?
You know what? Go and wear your clothes. You are following me to Lagos today.
But Mommy said we shouldn't leave the house. That we should wait for her. Why don't you stay and wait for her? You can tell her I went with Daddy to Lagos, but she puts you in charge.
Hopefully, your mommy comes back before we go. Otherwise, you just have to leave message for her. Go now. Sharp, sharp. I don't have time.
Let's go.
This boy.
Why are you taking that? All your business. Where did you get that from? None of your business. And don't beg me when I buy fan ice.
Are you boys ready?
Yes, Daddy.
We have the team from the movie Mother's Baby. We have with us Mr. Robert and Mr. Hannes Salat. Mr. Robert happens to be the cinematographer, and Mr. Hannes happens to be the production designer. I will read out a brief synopsis of the movie. 40-year-old Julia, a successful conductor, and her partner George are longing for a child when Dr. Wilford, a fertility specialist with a private clinic, offers them hope with an experimental procedure. Julia becomes pregnant after successful treatment at the clinic. However, the birth does not go as planned, and the baby is immediately taken away for additional treatment, leaving Julia and her husband in the dark about what has actually happened. When Julia is finally reunited with the child, she feels strangely distant. The baby's presence puts a strain on their marriage as it becomes clear that Julia has doubts about whether the baby they have brought home is really hers. Can we please have a preview of this movie, please?
Also ich habe mir Ihre Befunde kurz durchgeschaut und also ich denke nicht, dass wir mehr als einen Versuch benötigen werden. Wir haben gute Neuigkeiten.
Gratuliere euch. Hatten Sie ein schönes Geburtserlebnis?
Das ist so ängstlich auf einmal.
Woran kann es liegen, dass er so gut wie nie schreit? Dein Kind spiegelt dich. Georg, hier stimmt was nicht.
Du wolltest ein Kind.
Ja, wenn nicht dieses. Was ist mit dem Arzt?
So we have with us two amazing movies, and we have a plethora of curiosity and questions on our mind about them. So before I open up the floor, I would like to satisfy my curiosity first, right? And I would like to start with Mr. Akinola. Sir, I for one, on a personal level, I I really enjoy those movies or books or stories which get encapsulated in a very short time frame. Your movie spans for one day. So to bring about the depth of a character and and that to many characters in a 24-hour time frame, it becomes a very big challenge. So my first question is like, how did you go about it, and what was this source of idea as to why this particular time frame? The movie captures the 1993 Nigerian elections, and the country itself is on the cusp of a change. It is transitioning from a military rule to a democracy. So, how big of a challenge it was to develop the depth of the character?
Wow, great question. First of all, it's such an honor to be here in Goa at such a prestigious festival. I wish, like you guys, more of my crew could be here, but I guess I'm just the representative. Um, yeah, I think it was. I think we were. Again, it's my first film, so there's not a lot I can add to the fact of trying to be really knowledgeable. A lot of it was just instinct. A lot of it was intuitive. We felt that the story of the boys and the father, which was originally written as a short by my brother, was something that needed to be expanded. And because it's quite a tender portrait on masculinity, we needed something that juxtaposed that. And we were the same age as the characters in '93, and we remember the sort of imminent urgency of the election. So I think what the election did is it represents two things. One is the micro with the father and the boys, and the election is the macro of this idea of nationhood, with the politicians kind of being the father of the country. So it kind of balanced out, and having it over one day was very forgiving on our budget, because it means we didn't have to dress people in multiple different things, and it meant we could not be so worried about continuity, and we could just focus on the story in of itself. But it also represented allowing us to build tension over a day, because it's over a day. So once the sun's up, once the sun sets, it's over. And equally, setting it on this day, which was the election crisis, meant that there was an announcement to be made. So equally allowed us to play with this idea of tension building throughout the film.
Wow, amazing. I also have one question to the team from Mother's Baby. Mother's journey, or their transition of a woman's journey from, let us, into motherhood. It's a very beautiful experience. It is exhilarating, it is painful, but there are a lot of joys that are associated with it. Your movie, after the motherhood, it takes on some sinister plot. And as a cinematographer or a production designer, what was your take on, or what was your challenge as far as how you portray and coincide with the director's vision on that?
First of all, thank you for having us. We are totally excited. Johanna would love to be here. She has no time because she's working, and now we can be here to represent the film. It's a great honor for us. I think the most important thing was to like show the change that that this transition from the main character Julia makes, is to like find pictures for that, or to we see a word that is getting smaller and more complicated while following her journey. And we used different things, techniques in the screenplay, and also by the production design and the cinematography to allow the audience to follow her inner process that she's making. So that was really the basic topic that we dealt with. And also it's a kind of a personal story, because Johanna's first birth wasn't an easy one, and therefore we know that it's a high stake. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, if you would like to add something to that, please.
Yes, I'm a father too, so it was interesting when I read the script. It was our relationship with my wife after the births. It's not every time everything is fine. It's a really challenging time, really, and it's not every time it's happy, and it has really challenging, a lot of challenging moments. And for the script, Johanna, it's much more challenging somehow than than it was with our child. But the topic is very important, I think, just for women, it's very important. And yes, and that was something that really pushed me and I think our team to make really good work for this movie, to make really a good movie out of it, and to work so hard as we can that it will be some special movie. And I think we tried to did it, and I hope we did well. So, but on the other hand, it's really a pleasure to be here. And I think today I was waking up and living in a 5-star hotel, and I was thinking, okay, that's something special for me as a production designer too, because as a production designer, we won't get invited to a festival, and that's really an honor to be here. And yeah, and I want to speak for all production designers. We're making real good work, and we're working very hard, and it's really something that I'm representative for production designers, maybe here on this festival.
You all are welcome to India, and I would now like to open up the floor for questions, please.
Once again, welcome to India. My name is Siraj Sayed. I'm the India correspondent for filmfestivals.com, which is a Paris-based website. My question is to our Nigerian guest. The boys that you have used in the film, the two brothers, are they able to speak English normally, or did you have to coach them and train them? Because sometimes it appears that in between their English, there's a touch of some local language also.
Thank you so much for your question. No, their first language is English, but similarly to here in India or anywhere in the world, you speak with a different vernacular. It's more localized. Equally in Lagos, which is used to be the capital, but the most populous, there's also like a Creole, like a pidgin, which is a derivative of the three main tribal languages and English, and aspects of sort of colonial Portuguese and stuff in there. So English and that comes quite naturally to them. Secondly, the boys play different tribes to what they naturally are. They're both Igbo, but in the film they play Yoruba boys. So no, we didn't have to teach them. I mean, what we really focused on was ensuring it's their first film. They'd never been in a film before. So we needed to try and put safeguards around them so that they, A, still maintain their education so that it wasn't too disruptive, and B, for me, it was quite important that they came out of this experience learning the craft we never really know if a film's going to be good or not. But what I was um, intentional about is that they come out of this process becoming better actors. They showed a lot of aptitude in the casting, like, against other boys, because they remembered a lot of dialogue, and they were able to, at times even what directing the other boys they were up against. So they showed a lot of aptitude. But yeah, but their mother is a script writer and an actress. So that's kind of where you see an understanding of the craft for the both of them. But yeah, no, it was their first time, and I couldn't be happier with their performances. They're a real blessing to find. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, guest. This is Nikhil from All India Radio. My question is for you guys from movie Mother and Baby. Actually, we know relation between mother and baby is kind of divine relation, and motherhood is also very divine. And since I have seen the trailer, I can say there is something different you wanted to share with your audience. So, what was the thought or message in your mind that you wanted that audience should carry with themselves after watching your movie?
Thank you for your question. I think the first intention was to show a different approach on giving birth, because normally you see a man and a woman. The woman becomes pregnant. She's giving birth, and everything is happily ever after. And since a lot of women don't have these experiences, Johanna was like, she thought about this story has to be told in a different way, because it's normally I've heard some comparisons to Rosemary's Baby, and this was in the 1970s, I think. So we follow like a narration that has maybe done the last time in the 70s, which is definitely not true, because there had to be some films that told this story in a way equally, I think. But she felt like she has to tell about this topic, because there are a lot of women that are not like telling their stories, and there are a lot of true stories about giving birth that are untold. And this was the main thing, I think, for this movie. And also playing with what I forgot to mention before, we were playing a lot of we are trying to play a lot with the audience, because at the end of the film they should like come together and discuss what was real and what was not real, or have their own film in mind, or make from different puzzle pieces make their own film. So we are not giving an answer or a final ending to the film. We leave it open to the audience, and this is important for us. We had a screening in Vienna, and there were there were 2 or 3 women that was really angry in the audience, and they told us, "What was your message? What is the ending?" And we refused to answer that question, because it's like up to the audience,
Yeah, and it's a thriller, so we can you can use some filmic, some cinema. You have you can choose some languages from cinema too. So it's you don't have to be on one point. There are many points flying around, and it's really funny because everybody wants to. It's really funny if there's people after the movie that people really speak about the theme and how do you see it, and that's something what is really fine, and we love it that it's like that.
My question is for Akinola. Which specific scene presented the biggest creative challenge and how you overcome it?
Well, that's a great question. The biggest creative challenge, sometimes you would think the biggest scenes have the biggest challenge because you're shooting in a big metropolitan place. But actually, for me, the biggest challenge was the beach. For so many reasons. We shot on a bit of a tourist beach in Nigeria, and I love my crew, but obviously shooting on this beach, they all thought they were on holiday. Um, so we had to remind them we're actually here to work. But there were so many challenges. Like the boys couldn't swim. Going into the water trying to shoot a scene was really difficult for them. And then the technicality, we're shooting on 16 millimeter in 35-degree heat in the water, trying to get sound. So many things, variables on that day were quite tricky. But thankfully, I have a very experienced producer. It wasn't her first feature, and even though I was having a malfunction, she just reminded me, we can try this scene on the beach, at least to ensure that we have it. So that's why if you see the film, there's scenes in the water and scenes on the beach. But then again, it's a real testament to the power of filmmaking, because even the way you picture things sometimes as a director, the day will always give you a different set of circumstances, and you have to work with your team to try and find the best answer. And I'm really grateful that I have an incredible team. It's like I said before, you guys are here. I would love to do this with my crew, so it's a real testament that you guys are invited as well. But yeah, that was probably the most challenging day. And then the other bit is a quite obvious scene for people who haven't seen. It's right at the end of the film, is a funeral. Obviously, it's a semi-autobiographical story for me. Emotionally, it was quite difficult. I mean, during the filming, I'm very focused, but the aftermath of filming was a very emotional weekend for me. I stayed in bed for almost 2 days just crying and like texting the crew and telling them, it's not very often you get to bury your father again in a cinematic form. So I was really honored that they were all coming on this journey with me. So yeah, I would say both of those scenes were pretty difficult. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. This is for the Nigerian film. All countries use their native language or the national language. How you felt the reaction from the government when your film has English language, especially a country like Nigeria? I met a Nigeria Film Commission director 10 years back in the same movie, but they were rarely speak in English language. But you have used the English language. How the reaction from the government and the other producers, the community from the Nigeria about your film?
Sure. Thank you. Another very good question. I'm getting the easy ones, huh? No, so our film is actually 50-50, because in order to qualify for the best international feature, you have to be at least like 52% non-English. So yeah, our film is Pidgin and Yoruba, 52%, and the rest is English. Yes, it's a really good question. I think it was really important that we use the language of how people speak in Lagos. So I guess working people in a professional sense in a big metropolis city, English is the first language, because working class people have to work, they need to be educated, they need to be able to get into these areas. But for working class people on the street, the language is the Creole, it's the Pidgin, it's what you hear, it's the sort of street vernacular effectively. And then I guess for the family being Yoruba, when Yoruba people meet each other, they also speak in their language. So yeah, it was, it was like a puzzle piece putting these things together. But yeah, the film in Nigeria is received really well. I think people were very surprised hearing about the film in Cannes first and then seeing it in Nigeria, because Nigeria is the only place where it's had a theatrical release so far. They were very surprised to see Pidgin in the film, actually, because most Nigerian films in some instances, only speak in English or a traditional language. But I think as a film that's set in the 90s, it was really important for us who grew up in Nigeria to show a version of Nigeria that we recognize. I think if you go to Lagos, everybody speaks English, but also everybody speaks their traditional language. I think coming from a country that was either colonized by England or is in the global south, we code switch when necessary. When you speak to an Indian person, you probably speak a local vernacular. So it's really important that we show the diversity of languages in Nigeria, that we show a diversity of what the people are like and how they express themselves. But yeah, in Nigeria, it was received very well. I think it made a sort of had a duality, because history wasn't taught in school. in schools because of the military dictatorship. History got reintroduced into the curriculum in the early 2000s. So loads of Nigerians in the diaspora or even in Nigeria who are younger than me, they didn't know what happened in 93. And whereas, so they learned a bit of their own history, and the older generation, older than me and my mother's generation, they were really, it was really cathartic and emotional for them to see this election political crisis that they lived through being put on screen, because there's not a lot of contemporary historical Nigerian stories. But yeah, so it's just become more of a generational dialogue for the film. Thank you for your question.
This is Mahesh from All India Radio, that's Public Service Broadcaster of India. How difficult it was to portray 90s era on the film? What any particular scene which was very tricky, and did it really help budget wise to restrict the film to the only days happenings?
You're probably gonna have to ask my producer that second one, but I would say yes and no. I mean, I think, so I'm asking your second question first. Did it really help budget wise? Yes, I think I would like to think it did. Obviously, I'm the director, so people try and hide so many things from me. Everybody's trying to please me, and I'm also trying to make things easier for the team. But we didn't go the easiest route. We shot on 16mm. There's not a very big relationship with Nigerian film industry and shooting on celluloid. We shot with 2 children in their first film. Again, quite difficult. But predominantly, we only cast 1 non-local talent, which was Shokwe Dirisu. So we tried to keep costs down as much as possible. But the first 2 things I mentioned tried to skyrocket the cost. But yeah, I mean, look, we as a dual citizen, British Nigerian, we have a lot of support from the UK. I was saying to someone earlier that the fact the film is the UK's entry to the Academy Awards came as a surprise for me, as you can imagine. But I think it goes to show that there's a lot of, for all the difficult history in terms of with countries and places that colonized them, there are people in those places trying to move towards a better understanding of how our cultures are integrated with each other and how we are interlinked in so many ways. Both places contemporarily have such a big effect on each other. So yeah, it was, and also it's important on me to bring resources back to Nigeria and empower the local film community. So to your first question, which was what was it? It was more what? Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, coming from Lagos, it's a city that really is really interested in becoming modern. So a lot of infrastructure changes immediately, but also it's a city that it kind of follows trends in a way. So maybe when I was growing up, similar to Goa, there's there's islands, there's archipelagos. Lagos has a mainland and a series of islands. Now, the islands are where a lot of the wealth is populated. So when I was growing up, a lot more stuff happened on the mainland, and now a lot more stuff happens on the island. So actually what that means is that because things migrate with the trend, a lot of things on the mainland have been untouched for almost 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. So when we were doing our location scouting, we found the office where you talk about the job, completely untouched. So my production designers didn't need to change anything because I was very nosy looking in places and found this. But things, my cinematographer is also really good handheld, but we decided to keep everything really composed because it helps us hide things just off camera. But I also have to give credit to my cinematographer, Jermaine Edwards. It's also his first feature. We really had to take a lot of time to be in Nigeria, to experience things, to see how we frame things. But yeah, to be honest, production designer and cinematographer, they are the real heroes of portraying the film in a period time, because it was with great difficulty. The most difficult bit, just to come to your question, was setting up that market street scene as they enter Nigeria, enter Lagos, because we wouldn't have been able to make that without it being staged. That whole first bit was staged. We sort of brought the energy to that place. But I don't know, maybe it's similar in India. You point a camera at a Nigerian person and they know how to perform straight away. So we didn't have too many difficulties in there. But thank you for your question.
Yeah, this for the mother's baby. Why did mother get a doubt that the baby is her or not? What's the suspense you created in the end? The mother's baby is her or not? And how you reacted, both the filmmakers is from Nigeria and other country, when it is in the competition section of an international festival, the topmost festival of India. Generally, a film enters the festival is a big credential, but it's in the competition list. How you reacted and for the as a filmmakers for the festival?
Was it 2 questions? Yes. The first one, I did not get the first one really, and the second one was our reaction when we knew that we are invited to the festival in competition. Yeah. Okay. Can I answer the second one first, and maybe you can repeat the first one because I did not really get it. Our reaction was, first of all, we did not know that we are allowed to go here. Because normally when you're invited to a competition, it's the director who comes, or the producers maybe. So when we get aware of the possibility of coming here, we were, of course, very curious and honored. And there was some like discussions if we both could come, or we discussed about if we both are able to come. And when it finally turned out that we had the possibility to come to the festival, we were very happy to be here and present the film in for Johanna. It's also a burden.
It was so fine because Johanna knows she was shooting in Austria, and she wrote on all head of departments, and that's something very nice. You know, if she's really a team player, and that's very nice to hear that she say, "Okay, I'm invited. I can't come. Please, if you want, come." And who wants? And then we said, "Okay, let's try to." Robbie and I ask if we can go, and then we are very proud that we can come together, and it's really an honor. And what was the first question? That's it.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah, you know, I didn't know if I understand it right, but I think it was very interesting to create this world for this movie because we wanted to find the first thing we were thinking about that it's then somehow an movie who could play anywhere. They can live nearly everywhere in Europe, and then we were thinking because it could be everywhere, this story. It could be here, it could be somehow around the world. And so we tried to find locations or everything looking not much more like Viennese locations somehow. And so we did, and so we tried to make this world somehow like it could be anywhere, and it could be a little bit you don't know exactly some special spirit about it. I love this flat where we're filming because it's like a little bit of a prison for rich people. So somehow, because it's closed and she's alone at home, and it's like an aquarium somehow. And that was something I'm really happy that we choose this location for this movie somehow, because it has something fits to the movie, and that's all the time we are looking for. Just looking for location. I'm more speaking for my department now, but looking for locations and everything, and dress the location that it's complete fits to this story and this and we hope that the pictures we have in this flat are you're feeling that she's staying there alone and she's lonely. I hope it works. I don't know exactly.
And you also asked about suspense, or I think the biggest point is that there are the reactions of the other persons to the baby and the feelings of the mother upon her own baby, and they don't get together, and this is what creates a kind of atmosphere that is steering you more and more into the story, because for her she's just not sure if what's is it her emotions that are wrong, or is there something with the baby. And maybe I'm a father too. Maybe at some point of your history with your child, you maybe ask some things, and this is some things you might experience in your parentship or in the childhood. And yeah.
I'll just add, yeah, I think every filmmaker just wants to make something they're really proud of. And certainly after making this film, I'm super proud of it. I love our film. To find out we're in competition anywhere is such a big honor. Let alone to find out we're in competition in such a prestigious festival like here. And then to find out you're in competition in different parts of the world as well is also quite mind blowing. So yeah, we're just, I guess all of us here, we're just really proud to be representatives of our film from whatever territories our films are from. We're proud to represent the cast and crews who have all been involved. And we're just also just excited to be here and having a dialogue with you guys as well, because I think it's really important that we all, it's the power of cinema and filmmaking that manages to bring people together and have different experiences and learn about your culture just as well as people learn about my culture. So yeah, it's a real privilege. And yeah, and just thank you to the programmers and the festival for having us here.
Hi, I wanted to ask both teams. So, how much of the final product did match the initial vision that you had for the film, since filmmaking is such a creative process? And did you allow your film to just go with the flow, or did you restrict it to the vision that you had in the beginning?
Johanna had the initial idea for the film, but the whole topic was very close for her, so she asked the screenwriter, which she met during a kind of casting process, or she always calls it Tinder for screenwriters. And they were really like a very good couple, and they could work together totally. They really, it was like a love affair. And then we started shooting. I know Johanna since a very long time, and we're very close friends. And so you have the screen in the first place, then you shoot the screen, or sometimes we rewrite the screen in a way while we were shooting, because we added different parts that were not in the script, because it's a very open process, the way Johanna works, and we are working together. And then there is the editing, and this is the last time the screenplay is written, and Johanna always, sometimes she did things I really hated because she took one scene and put it in somewhere in the front of the film, and it was supposed to be in the middle. And I was telling her, but she wears a totally different dress, and she always says, nobody would recognize that. And she's always right, because if the emotion is right, the audience follows the emotion, not the dress the actress is wearing or something else. So I hope did I answer your questions? Thank you.
Yeah. For me, it was you ask if I am satisfied with the end and. Yeah. It was really allowing it, somehow, because it was not so easy to get to find locations. we first wanted to shoot the whole clinic in Switzerland, but then we just shoot some parts of it in Switzerland. And so, but every time we had such a great work together with the team and with everybody, and we were speaking and thinking about, and it works very well out. So I think sometimes if so many talented people working together, you can't imagine where you're going to. It's much better than you're thinking the first. It's really a good, when I remember I made my first mood book, it was complete. I'm really, really a bit ashamed about it now. I show it sometimes students and I say, now I started because I say, okay, I can show something what I don't like so much too. And it's getting much, much, much more better. You know, it's really, you know, we're all working together and everybody puts some pieces in and then it's getting something special, and that's the great thing about making movies.
Just a little add-on anecdote Johanna likes to tell about what Hannes says, because we shot in Vienna, in nearby Zurich. It's called a small place called Baden, and in Hamburg, and she always says Julia enters the lift in Vienna, rides the lift in Hamburg, and leaves the lift in Switzerland. So that's a funny thing of, like, you know, the fun things and sometimes the strange things you're doing while shooting. Okay, that was my add-on. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just lastly add on to everything they said. I'm quite fortunate in a way that I've been shooting short form things for a while. I was also very aware that my budget is not infinite, so we had to be very precise of what we and also I was shooting on film, so we didn't have, like, you know, we only flew so many rolls to Lagos, so we had to, if we didn't get the scene in 3 rolls, then there's no scene effectively, or somewhere else suffers in the film. So we did a lot of rehearsal before we even filmed anything, and it maybe harkens back to how films used to be made, where you rehearse, and then you shoot what you have. So in the end, as a sort of first time film, when I saw the assembly, I was really happy because I was like, oh, you know, I didn't mess this up, you know. Did it match what I expected? That one is a bit of a harder question. Like, you know, like he says, you make the film 3 times, and you write the film, you shoot the film, and then you edit the film, and each time it changes, it completely evolves. And equally, I'm the sort of person where I like to listen to my cast and crew, so the best idea always wins. I'll give you an anecdote. If you've seen the film, there's a scene where an older man sings in the film. That wasn't written, wasn't scripted, but we did a table read, and the actor came and he spoke to me and he was like, Akinola, I think I really like your film, but I think I need to sing a song. So I was like, oh God, here we go. What's gonna happen? And I asked him to sing, and he sung this really emotional song. And 2 of my producers, both women, both cried, you know. And we realized, and then he told us what the lyrics meant. And then we thought, okay, it's important to put this in because it matched the emotion and the feeling of what we needed at the time. So yeah, I think sometimes you have to be open to an occurrence that could make the film better. You know, I think if you're too focused on one thing, you miss blessings, you miss intuition, like you miss a spirit that just also feels in the way the film is leading you. So yeah, I think sometimes it's important to be able to deviate from the course, but as a director, be sure we get back on course. Thank you.
I have also another add-on, second add-on, because you mentioned the scene when with the singing, and while we did the first rehearsals in Berlin, because we met the actors there, we thought about, like, how do we start the film, because the start of the film was differently written than shot, and then we came up with the idea to have this couple, and they're in a Luna Park, and at this like, I don't know how you call it, that they are in this, yeah, it's like bungee jumping in a cage, and they're like shot in the air, and they turn around and come back to Earth. And it's such a nice, like, the whole film in a nutshell, because they are thrown into the air, into total different world. That everything turns up and down, up and down, up and down, and then it comes back to earth. So that was really like a nice what is Klammer? No, column? Is it a column? Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
So now we come to the end of this press conference. I would like to thank all the panelists and the audience for taking time out and being present here. Team IFFI wishes more success and recognition to both of your films, and all the very best. Both of you are in the competition sector, yes. We would like to present a small memento to our panelists, so I request all of them to please come forward.